Yes.
Okay. All right, so you're probably familiar with what this looks like, or maybe you aren't as familiar, but this is our web portal. It's one way that volunteers can look for places to serve, ways to serve. So as an organization, we have the opportunity to put information on there for those volunteers to find. What you're looking at is what everybody sees when they first start out. So volunteers could click in the middle, volunteer now. You could also click and register your organization. What we've got at the very front here is spotlights of things that are popping up as, either big focus areas or something that, like, for example, virtual or limited contact. Those are things that people might be interested in during a pandemic and not able or interested in being in person. And those things can change. As you kind of look at the page, you'll see that recent opportunities that have been posted. And when you post a new opportunity, it's going to show up in that recent opportunity. And if it's coming up, so on the calendar, it's within the next couple days, or it's the most recent one posted coming up, that will show up. You can see these are all January 19th. And then you also have the option to view more opportunities. We have a blog that we can put things on. So I am a site manager. Our partners at United Way have a site manager. We can do those things to get your information out there. I would use an example of this spotlight up here of if you have a big event, let's spotlight it so that it's the first thing people see. The Dubuque Days of Caring is an example. They have an event in the end of April. So closer to April, we're going to put a spotlight that says, hey, check this out in these volunteer opportunities. So there's lots of options. And the people who are managing this, myself, Paula with United Way, we're here to help extend that message. But I also want to show you how to get that message out there yourself. Of course, recent organizations that I've played with or that have put information on here are going to pop up. Okay. And then if you scroll back to the top, you're going to see a login, a sign up. Okay. This returns you to the United Way website. Help is always a great button. There is people behind the software. Galaxy Digital made the software and they have support systems in place. So for yourself, you would be logging in. If you're already part of the organization, which is why you got that email. But if there's tweaks that need to be made, people that need to be added, those are conversations that you can have with me and I can help you, with Paula and she can help you, or we could show you as we get deeper into how it's done. You can play with it yourself. It's fairly intuitive if you're just kind of if you just take, the time to look around, which I know time is valuable.
Yes, it is. Can I ask, if our organization already had a listing on the United Way volunteer portal, would that be transferred over into the system, or do we have to create one from scratch?
So I believe that we might be talking about the same thing, because Volunteer Dubuque was rebranded. So the United Way volunteer web portal was this. We rebranded it because what we found with people looking for volunteer opportunities is, what are they going to type in if they're in Dubuque and they're looking to volunteer in Dubuque, volunteer near me. And DBQ United Way.Galaxy Digital wasn't always a search engine that was hitting. So in specific, we'll go into look at your organization as well, and that way we can see what your opportunities have been in the past. But I'm pretty sure that the web portal that you had been previously used to, it's just been renamed. Like, I don't know of any place on United Way that they have other things, because this is the software that they managed before I came on board. And I'm with AmeriCorps. Yeah. Okay. So I'm with AmeriCorps in the city of Dubuque. And so that partnership allowed us some time and energy and more people, me and Paula with United Way to, of course, I have a boss that oversees what I do, to kind of rebrand. We have communication specialists, and that's where we came up with that Volunteer Dubuque, partnership and just really making things more user friendly. So it should be the same, one and the same thing. So United Way used to solely manage it, and now we're managing it together. Okay, so I'm going to log in. And you're going to see that, okay, so if you haven't signed up, obviously things like that, the dashboard is going to look the same when you go in. This is your toolbar, I guess, on the side. And when you log in, you're going to be a manager. So you're getting a agent's organization manager. So you're getting that view. So I'll show you. This is the view you're going to be getting. And right now, I'm the City of Dubuque AmeriCorps program manager. I have several organizations. Yours is just going to be the one you're connected to. So I'm going to pop onto this one that I manage. Yours is going to say Crescent Community Health Center, right? So as you're here, this is already created and something that is really good to familiarize yourself with and maybe tweak a little bit if there's things that are out of date. So for example, the organization manager primary is me, and then I have Paula as a secondary. Is your logo up to date? Is your website up to date? You have a customizable link that you can put at the end of our long tagline. Maybe you want to control that and to just say Crescent Community Health, or maybe you want to say Crescent Community Volunteer. So you can customize all these pieces, right? You want to have your hours. You want to go down and select some of your causes, any of those that fit your need. You can select several. If you have a video, put that in there. It's going to pop up on your agency page when people are looking at your agency. Everywhere you see these blue buttons, you have a chance to save your work, basically update the information. You also have a place for additional notification recipients. So if there's two of you managing it, of course, one's going to be the primary, one's going to be the secondary, or you can have a different email that things go to. So you have options. You can place them up here as a manager, or you can place them up here as they're going to get an email notifying them when things happen on your page. Okay. So location, links, all those things are great things to update. Your description, go in and check those pieces out with Crescent Community. You can add new photos that show up on your page. I will show you kind of what it looks like from the outside, but that will mean that I'll have to log out, but we'll go there in just a second. So one thing I wanted to point at when you very first come into your organization page, you've got this toolbox, right? Typically it opens in a new tab, and it doesn't look much different until you look down a little bit. I'm in a new tab. My organization is right here for me again. The new tab gives you a way to contact your site manager. Paula Paterlicht with United Way had historically been managing this. Now I'm putting quite a few hours in. So typically the email is going to go to Paula. If she can't answer it, she's going to send it to me. So we're working together, but there's lots of information here. How to post and manage volunteer opportunities, training resources, all these great things that you might be interested in. I like this, how to create an effective need. We have to kind of be marketers when we're looking for volunteers. You can't just say volunteer needed. They need to know a little bit about what's exciting for them to, draw their attention in, when you click on these, you're going to get our Galaxy Digital, which is who made the software. You're going to get kind of a how-to. I always tell people, if they're searching for something and they're trying to figure something out or do something, and you can't find it within 10 or 5 minutes, and you can't, the how-to really isn't helping you, or something's not sitting right, just email me, just email Paula, right? We don't want you to sit with it for too long because you have so many other things going on. So that's a great tool, is that Organization Manager Toolbox. And just a quick overview, and then I'm going to pause for questions from you. So viewing is what your page looks like. Okay, so I clicked view on my organizational manager, and it tells who we are, what we do. Here's an opportunity that I already have active. Here's my contact information, my location, hours, all those things that we put in and made sure they were pretty and nice and updated. Okay, so I'll go back. Should be able to go. Let's go here. Okay, so that's kind of preview what you've changed. You can always go back in and edit your organization, and then kind of go back and forth and do those pieces. Opportunities are what you're going to post, what you're asking for volunteers, the opportunity for them to serve. Events and training is a little bit different. You might want to train all of your volunteers and they need to sign up for a training date. So you could post a training date and it walks you through. So these blue buttons are pretty key with anything you do in Volunteer Dubuque. They're how you're going to add or update something. Okay. So I'm going to start back with the opportunities before we add new things. But the opportunities is what your volunteer ask is going to be. Okay. And we'll start here and show you how to do that real quick. But I'm going to go through the rest of the tabs. We'll pause for questions and then we'll show you what adding a new opportunity looks like. And then we'll see where we're at with your time. All right. So stats is just a way that we can determine. You can kind of see all these people have responded to my DBQ shovel crew post that they're shoveling around the city of Dubuque to help citizens. That is my volunteer post with my organization. You can look at a schedule, right? If you have the ability when you post a need to put shifts on it. So it will tell you when they're full, right? It will tell you who signed up for what, and it will show you on a calendar form. Time tracking. All these things are things that we can have another Zoom about so that you can get more in depth, but it's really about who's entered hours on the website, who's logged them on this website. It's really important. You probably will know with grant management that it's really important that when we have those hours trackable and on paper, or in this case on the web, we're able to pull those when we submit grant reviews, and that justification is wonderful for that funding piece or funding side of things. Advanced event is a little more in depth, but it's kind of similar to what I told you about, like Dubuque Days of Caring does a 1-day event, and that's what we make an advanced event. So they have an advanced event that all of their volunteer opportunities would fall under. Something that's, definitely I suggested if you have an event that you want to have lots of volunteer opportunities that day, just contact us and we'd be glad to walk you through those pieces. Sterling Volunteers talks about people who are, they're consistent with the volunteer. We have the ability to do a background check with them, and they do have to have an account, right? So they have to be someone that's registered. So it's somebody that's typically volunteering a lot that you want to give more responsibilities to. With the background check piece, all opportunities can require a background check. This is just another window for volunteers who are more consistent, I guess. Check-in is based on what your volunteer opportunities are posted. So, you're going to have, there's a check-in kiosk that you as a volunteer coordinator could have the day of, and you could check people in that way. Of course, then it shows you who's checked in now. It gives you kind of a way of tracking if you have a lot of volunteers going on in a certain situation or event kind of thing. So there's lots of possibilities. It's a very in-depth software, but it's super easy to use if you just take it one step at a time. So I'll pause for questions real quick, and then I'll go back to that opportunities of how to post a need and then show you what that looks like. Anything you come up on questions so far, Sherry?
Yeah, so is the checked in feature the same as time tracking, or are you going to get to time tracking?
Yeah, so checked in is when you're like at the event and you're checking volunteers in. So it does push you through to that time tracking process. So they're checked in, they're physically there. It gives you a next step to time track their hours. Time tracking in this tab is just for your information when volunteers track or log their own hours. So it's going to be hours that have been logged already. So this check-in and checked in now is going to be like you're sitting there the day of, and you want to be able to use this software to manage who's here and what they're doing and what opportunity they're part of, kind of thing. The time tracking is very, very similar, but it's going to be when they've logged those hours or when you've checked them out, so to speak, and the opportunity has finished. Does that make sense?
It does. Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else?
Yeah, just curious, do the volunteers that register with this system then have the ability to put information about themselves for
Yeah.
organizations to take a look at?
Yeah, so I'll go back to my profile so you can kind of see what that looks like. Should we go there first, or would you like to look at how to create a need? I know we only have about 3 minutes or 9 minutes or so.
Yeah, whichever makes sense to you is fine with me.
Let's take a quick look at my profile. Okay, so this is what volunteers are going to be putting in there, right? So this is me. I'm the person. I'm an individual, and these are the causes that I've identified. It asks you these questions when you registered. When you identify a cause, it sends you information if somebody highlights that in one of their needs. So I like all arts and culture causes. So if a need is posted about arts and culture, I will get an email about it saying, hey, there's a new opportunity in arts and culture, and maybe you're interested, check it out here, and it'll have a link. Same thing with interests, what we're interested in doing. You can plop in a resume. There's all these pieces that are related to the individual and what they're doing. So let's do my opportunity responses. So I'm currently a volunteer shovel person. In the past, I've volunteered for planting trees. My volunteer schedule pops up. I can add my resume under my files. I can track my hours, which I'm just learning how to do myself. I logged 1 hour with shoveling at the last snowstorm. And then, you can easily plop in more hours right here. And that's what an individual is going to do as they start to play around with the system. It depends on where you're at with managing your volunteers, because I'm happy to give you information. Like, one, how do we post a need? How do we get these things out to the public and get volunteers in? And then here's what you can do with your volunteers. Here's what you can send, how you can promote your volunteers to track their hours, or what you can do as a best practice to follow up with your volunteers, that type of thing. So there's lots of information out there, but I don't want to get too deep into all of them with our time constraints. You also have an inbox that gives you emails. You'll see a little notification bell up here that has 2. That inbox is for me. Now, I'm a manager, so there's going to be things in here that are related to managing. There would also be things in here that relate to you signed up for an event or a volunteer opportunity. So, you're going to get different things in your mailbox depending on whether you're a user, a manager, or a site manager like myself. So that's a little bit about the profile. And if I go back to my organization, so you would be in your Crescent community. Again, you wouldn't have choices here. Yours would just pop up if you click this button, My Organization. If you're only managing 1, if you're managing 2, you'd have choices. When you're in there, going to your opportunities, now you can see what volunteer opportunities you've posted or add a new one. Of course, this is the one that I have current. I can edit it. I can view the responses. I can look at it, what it looks like to the public. I can tell that it's active. I can manually add a response. If somebody emails me and says, I don't use computers, but I want to help you with the shovel crew, you can select this opportunity up here, and you can put the volunteer email in and add the response. You have links that you can share with the public about that response. And then, of course, you can add a new one. As things, you get lots of volunteers, you can always export responses, all your opportunities, and you have different ways to kind of manage what you have going on. The add new opportunities, it's very streamlined. It's very simple. You're going to title it. You're going to tell them what they're going to do. Is it public or is it private? Private would be as if you want somebody, you already have a group in mind. Let's say you have Girl Scouts or Boy Scouts that are coming to mulch the Crescent Community Center, and you know that they want to do that, but you want to have a tracking system. You want to log it in. You want them to log their hours. You'd create mulching, short description, private, and then you can send it to them with the link that I showed you, and I'll show you again, and it won't go out to the public. So public is generally what people use because we want to send that information out there. Initiatives isn't really something you would worry about. It would be right now, like initiative would be Days of Caring. if it was online, you could add it to that initiative. You can see initiatives throughout the state of Iowa and Illinois. You can always look through it. It's not going to hurt it to have that initiative on it. It's just where you're getting people from, right? This is all around the state of Iowa. This is on our website, our neighbors. And it really is how it relates to what your opportunity is going to be. So you're going to go through and you're just going to populate what your opportunity is all about, how long it takes. Is it ongoing? Does it happen on a certain date? Are there shifts? So it's kind of cool that you can create customizable shifts, and it tells you shift time, shift hours, shift capacity. And then you click add and boom, you can add another shift if you wanted to say do 9 to 12, lunch break, 1 to 4 kind of thing. And then you can stipulate how many people. You can require background checks, and that's a further in-depth process, but it walks you through it. You can allow teams or not, minimum age, maximum age, all these pieces. When you click outdoors, if you click outdoors, it asks you for a plan. You'll see that there's red required pieces, and that's only because I selected the shift. If you did happens on a certain date, you wouldn't have that. You just need to put the date it happens on. So yeah, you can see what's required and what's not, but the more information you have, the better people are going to have an understanding. Attributes are really just like must be able to lift 50 pounds, that kind of thing. Okay. And then you can click add and it populates below anything that you interesting. They've always got some great how-tos. Is it virtual? Where's your address of the actual volunteering? There's all kinds of processes. If you wanted to add a waiver, there's a way to do that, and it walks you through that. And then you'd hit create. If you ever have any problems, we're here for you. Once you hit create, and like I showed you before, it's going to pop up here. You can easily edit things. Like I said, you can easily get a link for it. If I click this, actually, I think those links are just from my agency list of public opportunities. Yeah, that's a little bit different. Sorry. But when you click on this, this opportunity, here's your link right here. You just copy and paste, and then boom, you're good to go. You're able to kind of share it abroad. Yeah. So I'll scroll down and you can kind of see what I put for the shovel crew, but and then you'll see when you go into these types of things, it tells you who's responded to. So you can view the responses. User groups are a little bit another big category that you can kind of play with, but that's kind of further down the road. So there's lots of tools. I think the easiest thing to start is to get familiar with your organization. And then when you're ready, post a need. You're going to get emails with people saying they responded to your need. And then from there, it's all about, I'll pop off of share here. It's all about, how you're managing your volunteer, how your organization sets up volunteer management practices. And if you need information about volunteer management practices, that's something that, I'm digging heavily into. So this web portal is part of what I do, but also gathering resources and introducing best practices and trainings. And I'm trying to get as much to people that is relevant to them without flooding them. So yeah, that's a quick overview of what Volunteer Dubuque, kind of the